In a face me I face you compound in Ajegunle, silence is unnatural. Usually, the air is thick with the sound of Mama Chinedu frying pepper, Baba Sego arguing about Chelsea versus Arsenal, or the generator's relentless hum. But at exactly 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, the noise died. Ngozi looked up from her sewing machine, her foot freezing on the pedal. The needle halted mid-stitch on a piece of Ankara fabric. A black Lexus LX 570, sleek as a panther and polished until it mirrored the rusted zinc roofs, had crawled over the massive potholes of their street and parked directly in front of their leaning gate. The engine didn't roar, it purred, a low, expensive vibration that shook the loose gravel. In a neighborhood where the most expensive thing on the road was usually a refurbished Danfo bus, this car looked like a spaceship that had crash-landed in the mud. "Who die? Ona governor come visit us," Mama Chinedu whispered from her doorway, wiping her oily hands on her wrapper. The tinted back window rolled down, releasing a blast of refrigerated air into the humid Lagos heat. A security guard in a crisp uniform stepped out from the front passenger seat, rushed to the back, and opened the door. A leg stepped out. It wasn't wearing a worn slipper or a dust-covered sandal. It was clad in a shoe that looked like glass, with a heel sharp enough to puncture a tire. The one who emerged was blinding. She was draped in expensive Swiss lace, the kind that stands stiff because of the quality, and her neck was heavy with 18-karat gold. She adjusted her dark designer sunglasses, her nose crinkling slightly at the smell of the open gutter nearby. Ngozi stood up slowly, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. 3 years. It had been 3 years of treating rashes, singing lullabies, buying school shoes, and praying over fevers. The woman took off her glasses. Her face was fuller now, glowing with the kind of skin that comes from eating good food and sleeping in air conditioning. But the eyes. Ngozi would know those frantic, wide eyes anywhere. They were the same eyes that looked back at her from a moving yellow bus at Oshodi Underbridge. "Samuel," the woman breathed. Ngozi turned. Samuel, now a steady 3-year-old with dusty knees and a wide gap-toothed smile, was busy trying to trap a lizard near the tap. Hearing his name, he looked up. He saw the shiny car, he saw the shiny woman. He frowned, confused, and immediately ran toward the only safety he knew. "Mama!" Samuel squealed, bypassing the rich stranger and burying his face in Ngozi's skirt, wrapping his small, sticky arms around her legs. "Mama, see the car!" The rich woman flinched. The rejection hit her harder than a physical blow. The vulnerability in her eyes vanished instantly, replaced by the cold, hard steel of a woman who had fought her way to the top. She walked past the neighbors, her heels clicking ominously on the cracked cement until she stood toe to toe with Ngozi. The smell of her perfume, something floral and foreign, overwhelmed the smell of the gutter. "You have done well," the woman said. Her voice was calm, but it carried an edge. She didn't ask, she stated. She reached into her massive leather handbag and pulled a thick brown envelope. It was bulky. She dropped it onto Ngozi's sewing machine. Thud. "That is 2 million naira. Cash," the woman said, looking at her manicured fingernails. "For your troubles, for the diapers, the food, the time, it is enough to rent a proper shop in Surulere. It is enough to change your life." Ngozi stared at the envelope. Then she looked down at Samuel, who was peeking out from behind her legs, looking at the stranger with fear. "You think he is a commodity?" Ngozi's voice shook, low and dangerous. "You think you can buy 3 years of love with a brown envelope? Where were you when he had measles? Where were you when he took his first step?" "I was surviving," the woman snapped, her composure cracking for a second. "I was a girl sleeping under the bridge. I had to leave him to save him. But look at me now. I can give him the world. I can give him schools in Unities, holidays in London, a life you cannot even dream of in this shanty." She leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a hiss. "I am his mother. I have the birth certificate, I have the money, and in this Lagos, money answers all things. I have police officers waiting in that car. Do not make me use force, my sister. Pack his bag. I am taking my son home now." The compound held its breath. Baba Sego stepped forward, his face hard. Mama Chinedu picked up a heavy turning stick, but Ngozi didn't move. She placed a hand on Samuel's head and looked the rich woman dead in the eye. You dropped a package on a bus. You didn't drop a son. A mother is the one who stayed." The rich woman's face twisted in anger. She snapped her fingers at the car. "Officer, come and pick this woman. She is a kidnapper holding my child." The mopol officer, holding a heavy black gun, stepped out from the Lexus. He marched toward the veranda, his boots crushing the gravel. Ngozi instinctively pulled Samuel behind her. "Oga, if you touch her, you will touch all of us." The shout didn't come from Ngozi. It came from the gate. Mama Chinedu stood there, wielding her heavy wooden turning stick like a sword. Behind her was Baba Segun, tying his wrapper tight, his chest puffed out. Then came the others, the akara seller, the recharge card boy, the mechanic from down the street. "You think because you drive big car you can oppress us?" Baba Segun shouted, pointing a calloused finger at the woman. "When this boy was sick with malaria and shaking like leaf, where were you? When hunger wanted to finish him, where was your Lexus?" The officer hesitated. He looked at the angry crowd closing in. "In Ajegunle, you don't fight the community." The rich woman ignored them. She lunged forward, grabbing Samuel's arm. "Samuel, come to mommy. I have chocolate for you. I have toys." Samuel didn't see chocolate. He didn't see toys. He saw a stranger with long, scary nails dragging him away from his safety. He screamed, a high, piercing sound of pure terror. "Leave me! Mama! Mama!" he wailed, kicking his legs wildly. He sank his small teeth into the rich woman's hand. "Ah!" she screamed, letting go. Samuel scrambled backward, not to the expensive car, but into Ngozi's dusty embrace. He clung to her neck, sobbing so hard his small body shook. "Mama, don't let her take me. I will not eat too much again. I promise." The words hung in the air, heavy and heartbreaking. "I will not eat too much again." The rich woman froze. She looked at the bite mark on her hand, then at the boy who was terrified of her. She looked at the envelope of cash on the machine, useless paper against the weight of the bond she was witnessing. Slowly, the arrogance melted off her face, leaving only a broken, weeping woman. She realized then that she could buy a house, she could buy the police, but she could not buy the title of mother. She had lost that right on the Danfo bus 3 years ago. She wiped her tears with the back of her hand, smearing her expensive makeup. She nodded slowly at Ngozi. He doesn't know me. I am a stranger to my own blood." She took a step back, signaling the officer to retreat. She didn't take back the envelope. "Keep the money," she whispered, her voice cracking. It's child support for the years I missed and for the years I won't be there." She looked at Samuel one last time, a painful longing in her eyes, then turned and got back into the black beast. The car reversed and drove away, leaving a cloud of dust and a silence that was quickly broken by Mama Chinedu, starting a praise and worship song. 15 years later, the hall was packed. It was the University of Lagos graduation ceremony. "Samuel Okoro," the dean announced. A tall, handsome young man in a green gown walked up the stage. He was the valedictorian, the best graduating student of medicine. The applause was polite at first, but then a section of the crowd erupted. It wasn't a rich family in the VIP section. It was a group of elderly people in the regular seats, wearing matching ashwebi. A woman with graying hair and a smile that outshined the sun was dancing as if she had won the lottery. It was Ngozi. Beside her, an aged Mama Chinedu was blowing a whistle. Samuel took the microphone for his speech. He looked at the sea of faces, then he looked at Ngozi. "They say it takes a village to raise a child, but for me, it took a bus ride and a woman with a heart of an angel. To my biological mother, wherever she is, I forgive her, but to my real mother, Madam Ngozi, this degree is not mine." He walked off the stage, bypassing the dignitaries, and went straight to Ngozi. He took off his graduation cap and placed it on her head. "This is for you, Mama. She left to buy pure water and never came back. But you stayed. And because you stayed, I am standing here today." Ngozi laughed, tears streaming down her face, knowing that the heavy bundle she was handed years ago was never a burden. It was her greatest blessing.